This is how we're starting it. What's up, YouTube? I am Eraddicus. These two gentlemen above me, as you know, this is Diwari. We got Omega right next to him, kicking it in Kansas. I'm in California. And we are here to bring you post E3, kind of what we saw, what we liked, everything that lived up to the hype, and maybe some stuff that didn't. So we're going to get right into it. Starting this time, instead of with Destiny, we're going with Halo 5. This one's looking good because we got all four of the previous games, Halo 1 through 4, obviously. We got multiplayer for all of them, and we got them bundled into the Master Chief Collection. So that's looking good for anyone who is clinging to those old Halo games, as this is Halo's kind of peak. This is its moment. You get to relive it again, and I believe you get access to the beta too. So as far as the stuff we saw during E3, we got to see a little bit of this new Spartan. Not so much personality, but we see that he's talking with the Arbiter. They're going over a little conversation, but Omega, walk us through. What'd you think of this?
I thought it was really good. I thought, they tease his name as Locke, and so that probably means something to someone. But I also saw an interview that his name is different from before. So he's someone we know, but he's not necessarily Locke. So that was really interesting. Definitely got excited for it. I think it kind of asks the question: are we playing as Master Chief? Is this guy a good guy or a bad guy? He's working with the Arbiters. So what the hell did Master Chief do? Well, I have some ideas about what Master Chief did, but that's for another time.
We got a few games worth of ideas, but not entirely sure.
Yeah, so that definitely looked exciting. They also announced the mini-series that you will have access to with your Master Chief Collection order purchase. And so that will be kind of telling the pre-story leading up to this character, Locke, so that we kind of get his backstory and understand where he's coming from. Really excited for that because I think they did just a really excellent job with Forward Unto Dawn. I remember watching that.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Yep. Really good.
Yeah.
And kind of, they weren't telling the same story as the game. They were giving you more. And so it wasn't necessary, but it was really good. And then really added on to the experience, in my opinion. So definitely excited for that. Last thing I want to say is in the Master Chief Collection, all the multiplayer games will be running in their original engines, which is a really freaking big deal, because that means all the things that you love about those games are coming back. They won't be messed with in any way. Graphically, they're going to be updated in some versions. And over 100 multiplayer maps. Are you freaking kidding me?
The pistol's coming back.
Yeah, I'll say, was there mention of the maps, of any of the maps individually crossing games? So like Blood Gulch appearing on a different Halo, or are these just all updated maps?
They didn't say. They said there will be 100 multiplayer maps. They took, I think it was 6 or 8 of the favoritist maps and kind of tweaked them and kind of redid them. One of them, Ascension, was the one they showed, I think.
Yeah, that's the one that they kind of flagged, really noticeable.
Yeah,
satellite dish.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and it really felt like in the gameplay that they showed, really felt like kind of original map. So that's really exciting to see.
Great. So what do we know? What do we know about the beta now? You get access to it with the Master Chief Collection, but when does that drop?
That comes out the 11/11/14, and you'll be able to. The beta will be coming with that as well. So
mark your calendars.
Get on it. So moving on to the next game, we're going to talk about The Division. This one, they didn't show a whole lot different than what they showed last year. They did show a theatrical trailer, which is what I want to mention, because I personally thought that trailer had all the feels.
So many feels.
It told us a lot about the game. It told us that there is going to be a story. It told us that your character has some sort of involvement instead of just being this super special spy agent, master cool guy who gets activated when all hell breaks loose. So definitely thinking that tease to story is a really good thing. Unfortunately, because of what they showed and they didn't talk about a whole lot, I really felt like that we would be seeing this game a lot sooner than we really will. I think it's probably going to be fourth quarter 2015. So I think it's more than a year away, just because they didn't show a whole lot of new stuff, didn't talk about a lot of new stuff. So I think that means they're still developing a lot of things and nothing's finalized yet, which that could come out, the end of the year, but it's not. I just don't think they're ready. So little sad about that, but if they do it right, it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah, it's looking good. Now, Diwari, we had a little look at one of your favorites for pre-3. That would be a little Himalayan adventure called Far Cry 4.
All right, first off, Far Cry 4, I have been waiting for that game for a very long time. It was revealed a while back that it takes place in the Himalayas. That was confirmed. And not only did we get this brand new setting, but we also got brand new characters, particularly the villain. Now, if you played Far Cry 3, you know that the villain, Voss, was one of the most engaging parts of the entire story. He was captivating. He gave you motivation to keep playing because you wanted to kill him. We get this new villain who looks just as crazy, but it feels like he's going to be much more pivotal. Voss, spoilers aside, it's kind of an untimely end to him, but it seems as though with this boss, hopefully they learn from that. Now, another thing we got from Far Cry 4 was a very, very long gameplay reveal trailer. And it starts off looking at it, it's like, oh, this is Far Cry that takes place in the Himalayas. Well, first off, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
The way the clouds roll off the mountains looks real. Everything, the detail of every single blade of grass is in there. And then just the world itself looks like it's going to be incredibly immersive and huge to explore. We get the wingsuit back from Far Cry 3. We get a grappling hook that allows us to fly or to climb up walls. And there is a gyrocopter. We get a mini helicopter that we get to pilot around. Assuming we get to pilot around, you do see a player piloting it, so this gives you a lot more ease of access. You don't have to climb the mountain. You can fly up to the top of it. The two biggest things about Far Cry 4 in terms of its gameplay that stood out, one, drop in and out cooperative gameplay. The worst part of Far Cry 3 was the co-op was its own separate campaign, so you didn't get to explore this world with a friend. Now I get to explore the world with a friend. If I need to have someone pilot my gyrocopter while I rain down fire from the sky, I can do that. Now, the other big thing that was just massively huge for me, I own a PlayStation 4. As a PlayStation exclusive, if I buy Far Cry 4 and one of my friends has a PlayStation 4 and they want to play Far Cry with me, they do not need a copy of the game to play it. They can just jump into my game without a copy and we can just continue on playing. Now, I'm sure that there's going to be incentive, like you don't get to keep any of your customization. If you want to build a more thorough character, you probably need to buy your own version of the game. So there's still, incentive to buy it. But the fact that if I have a friend who's new to Far Cry 4, if they want to give it a shot, they don't have to make a lengthy purchase, they don't have to download a demo, they get to jump in and we can play together, and I can be there to hold their hand throughout it, but they get a chance to be immersed.
So. I definitely think that that's a really great plus and really smart on their part because it's going to give players that foot in the door. Because I remember I was not a huge Far Cry fan, and then this guy was like, dude, you got to play it. You got to play it. And then he was like, here, you got to play this. Take my copy. And I put it in and then couldn't put it down, just like him, because it was really good. But without that kind of gateway into it, I never would have picked it up. I just wouldn't have it. It's just not a style of game that I really gravitate to a lot, but this one really was good. And a lot of that was characterization. Voss was really great about that. So definitely, I think it's smart.
As someone who didn't play the Far Cry series, I can tell you that the biggest thing I heard about it was as you said, kind of characterization, the personality of Voss. And just from the trailer we've seen from Far Cry 4, it looks like this new guy is going to have plenty of unique personality to bring to it, and when he's stabbing the guard for what he's done for shooting on your bus and for
with a
almost
golden
taking you out.
pen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and then he pulls a selfie with him afterwards, but it's looking great. But speaking of personality, we got a game with some personality on this list, and that is Sunset Overdrive. Omega,
Yeah.
what did you see? What did you like?
Well, first off, I think this was in the running for one of the best trailers of this year's E3
Yep.
because it starts off as this kind of military cover shooter trope. The guy's sitting there and he's like out of ammo and he's like, "Oh, I'm boned" at that point. And then all of a sudden, this character from Sunset Overdrive kicks the door down and he just starts to make fun of the entire genre, jumping around, shooting guys, flying around. And then he leaves and begins to break fourth wall and talk directly to the player. And just, it's hysterical and
It's a video
it's
game.
so
Why not?
fun. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you have to be this big hero, and can you do it? Of course you can, because you're the player." And it's just really fun, really colorful. They showed a 8-player cooperative kind of mechanic where you all get in and do all these missions and stuff. Just really fun and really pretty. Just seeing more of the gameplay in engine was just really pretty, really fun to play, fun to watch. So it's definitely a good thing. Did you get out to that media event on Wednesday?
No, I actually called the store and there was an issue where it wasn't it wasn't as it seemed. I think it was something that was a little more invite exclusive, and the particular representative at the store was very incapable of delivering that message accurately. So, yeah,
World's
that was a big bummer for me, but
thing for you. Well, then we will move right along to one that one of us did get to play. That was Destiny. Diwari, tell us about that.
First and foremost, okay, Bungie had a lot of expectations going into E3. They really rocked the show last year with Destiny, and then we get it this year, and we get 2 separate trailers, one at Microsoft, one at Sony, and they seem rather underwhelming in the sense that it didn't look like we were getting too much new information about the classes. And then Bungie pulls a fast one on us, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not going to show you. We're going to let you play the alpha if you have the PlayStation 4 all weekend. Go to this website and register." I was on that website in less than 5 seconds. I got the email a few days later. I got on the Destiny on Thursday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
The Destiny.
On the Destiny. My personal
your Destiny, not just a Destiny, the Destiny.
No, my needs. This is about my needs. And so I got in on Thursday, and I did not stop. I did not stop until midnight on Sunday. Plain and simple.
Yep.
But the best part about this is that instead of them going through and telling us what the game is about, which would ultimately lead to more questions, they just kind of got it all out of there and said, "Here's what we've got so far, learn about it." Now, the game lives up to my expectations. I'm going to put it out there right there. The only thing I didn't like was some of the voice acting by Peter Dinklage, who's one of my favorite actors, but that's a small grievance for what is overwhelmingly a very I don't want to say proven just yet because it was still an alpha test, but it was something that it fit exactly what I was looking for. Right. It's not entirely an MMO. It's a first-person shooter, but it's weird. You can feel the halo.
It's not an MMO. Mm-hmm. It's an open world.
It's a shared world first-person experience.
Yeah, not an
MMO.
MMO.
It is a let's dance around the name of MMO and give it a different one.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it seems more like it's going to have more in common with, like, dungeon crawler style games. Okay. There are still raids. There's 6-person raids. We did in the alpha get to try out the first dungeon, which is called the Devil's Lair. It's great. It's challenging. It's fun. There's normal mode. There's legendary mode with increased loot. Essentially, I could go on for days about Destiny. And if you stick around on our channel, give it a subscribe, you're going to be seeing the fruits of that labor. Over the next couple weeks, we're going to be loading up videos that are everything we know about Destiny. It's going to be a full compendium. We break down the classes in detail. We break down the PvP in detail, currencies, reputations, vehicles. There's not much story. We didn't get much in the alpha, but we've got legendary mode. We've got boss tips. You name it, we're going to have it. So definitely stick around. It's really, really exciting. That's just me. Yeah. And you too. At the end of it all, I'm like super excited for Destiny if you hadn't noticed, but there was another game that came on a few days later at the Nintendo press conference that was spectacularly beautiful, and we're going to give the reins over here to Erad to tell us about the next Zelda.
All right. So, what we know from this now is that Zelda Wii U is, if there's a drum roll, my God, just do it for yourself right now.
These are not maracas.
It's open world. Zelda Wii U is open world. And that is something that, while we've seen on small scales, you explore Hyrule and other areas, but it's all closed off. You don't get to explore it in more than a linear fashion. So now, again, it's open world. It's beautiful. Everything looks great. From what we've seen, and you should see it over here, we've got Zelda. Not Zelda. We've got Link, or we'll get to that later, but we've got a hero on Epona, or Epona, however you want to pronounce her name.
I've heard it both ways.
But sitting out in an open field. What's that?
I've heard it both ways.
I've heard it too. But sitting out in an open field, and this enemy comes out of nowhere, chases him off, and then we get to see, after a short cinematic, we see who we assume is Link hop off the horse, pull out a bow, and fire on this enemy. And you get to see a pretty cool piece of the game where it looks like this arrow is almost something out of Turok, like the tech bow. Starts glowing blue, fires. It looks beautiful. But all in all, I don't know what else you can want in a Zelda game right now. For the fact that it is confirmed as open world and you no longer have to take a linear path, that's everything that I could possibly want from it. But there was a little speculation on the internet as far as who this character was. Is it Link? Is it Zelda? Is it blah blah blah? But it seems now that we have confirmation that it is in fact Link. It is male, and it is a very young version of it, as far as maybe where that age fits between like a Wind Waker age and a Skyward Sword age. We don't know, but
we're excited to hear the new Link's dialogue.
Way,
there's going to be so much.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of hias and maybe some hey listens from his partner. I don't know. We haven't had a confirmed Navi yet, so hold on for that one. But
I think you might see her.
That's what we know for Zelda.
Trailer, but maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe there's a
maybe a little. Watch it close. Way up in the corner. Maybe there's a little.
Could be there.
There's a little.
It's up there. It's in the corner. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Definitely
3 fairies, 3 bows.
Definitely excited for that.
The horse has more than 3 legs. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
And Fallout 4. Oh my god!
But,
all the confirmations.
Too many confirmations for one video. But now, switching gears to one that we covered a little bit. We didn't know a lot before E3, and now Omega, maybe just a little bit more for Hunt Horrors of a Gilded.
We know a little bit more. They showed actual gameplay footage of this 4-person cooperative running around in this really dark swamp. Some of the things that they said were that were interesting to me. The death/respawn mechanic. If you die, because there's the down state sort of thing, it's interesting how you come back to life. Your partner, your teammates actually have to come find you because you're on the map somewhere in a kind of comical way where they're kind of poking fun at the fact that you're respawning. One of the things that we see in the trailer is that you're in a coffin leaned up against the wall, and there's chains wrapped around the coffin, so you can't get out until somebody comes and shoots the chains off. So definitely really interesting. It looked to keep the time period in all the weapons was really good. You have shotguns that are 2 shots and then you have to reload, and it's not this like super fast reloading mechanic. It's like, you have to reload. And so there's a lot of strategy, a lot of team play, it looked like. So definitely excited for just more of that. I was hopeful, and that trailer really delivered on pretty much everything I wanted to see. So definitely going to be looking forward to more of that one. But it kind of had that creepy feel, something like something else we know, Evil Within. Tell us about that one, Eraddicus.
Yes. Okay, so this is probably in my top 3 most anticipated prior to E3, and remains on that list now because of what we saw. We got to see a bit of gameplay, some dev walkthroughs, that kind of thing, giving us commentary with it. Little extended trailer, but not a ton about the games. But what we do know now is it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary enough that it's going to look a bit like a past Resident Evil we've seen, kind of with the Nemesis mechanic. We've got a new antagonist. I think his name is Ruvik, is how they said it, but he looks like this asylum, like this insane asylum crazy dude, botched up face, and he appears to have almost like a Wesker-like powers, if you know the Resident Evil series. But when he appears in the game, it looks like it's going to be a straight runaway scenario. You don't shoot, you don't waste your ammo, you don't waste your time. You just get away. You create distance, and that's all you can do. So in that sense, it looks a lot like Nemesis, but amazing. As far as some other little mechanics, it looks like they have little bits of, for those of you who remember an old GameCube game, Eternal Darkness, it looks like they do a little bit of kind of screwing with your sense of reality during the game. So I mean, this is an easy example. But for instance, like when you take a large health pack, they'll distort your perception because there's so much healing going on, in the sense that your screen warps out and you get a distorted sense and all this stuff, and then things are still coming at you. So there's a sense of susceptibility when you were using what is supposed to actually be saving your life. So little element of horror added there. Ruvik again. Oh my god.
Just run away.
It looks so cool.
Just walk away. You can prevent all of this.
And apparently they have they have a little kind of unexplained sense of an upgrade system in this game, where you'll find these mirrors on the wall or something that looks like lighthouses that takes you to somewhere you're not entirely sure of where it is, maybe another dimension, something, but you sit down in what looks like an electric chair, and that's where you do your upgrades. And like your guy's tweaking out the whole time you're upgrading him, so maybe you feel a sense of guilt every time you give him a little more accuracy, but I don't know. It's looking beautiful though, and it looks like they've kind of picked the best pieces from the Resident Evil series to kind of take that horror. You're gonna get a little of those kind of short cinematic scenes that require your action, like you saw in Dead Space. You get pulled by a tentacle and you need to react quickly, or it's instant game over. So everything we've seen doesn't explain a ton to the story, but we get a sense that they're going to come through on their promise for the horror and the survival. That's a lot. A lot of horror, and I'm looking forward to it. But let's move off into some of our shorter games that we're still equally as excited for. Evolve. That's one I'll walk you through a little bit here. We saw the Kraken. The addition of is the second monster. He gets flight. He's got some more ranged abilities. You assume that because of his increased, his increased mobility or range or whatever, that he's going to be a little squishier as far as a monster character goes. But he's looking really good. I'm still personally curious as to what they're gonna do for replayability. Are they gonna have anything with like level ups, unlockables, anything like that? Not necessarily a necessity for this game type, given what we saw in Left 4 Dead. It was still pretty successful as a short form game type without having to, throw achievements in your face to keep you coming back. So maybe that's enough for everyone, but I'm personally curious. And as far as match times, that they had a tournament, as Omega was mentioning to me earlier, but I know one dev who spoke with IGN is saying that he's seen match times around anywhere from 2 minutes with inexperienced players to 35, 40 minutes. So it's looking really good. Gentlemen, anything you would care to add to Evolve, or should we move on to an unfortunate disappointment in our E3 books?
Now time out. This disappointment is in the eye of the beholder. We're talking about Star Wars Battlefront.
So.
We're talking about Star Wars Battlefront, which... Okay, we didn't get to see any gameplay. Which I don't understand. I don't understand why we didn't get to see gameplay. But we did get to see the graphics, which were gorgeous.
Okay, but if you want to talk about graphics and demos from E3, let's go back to last year when they showed off Watch Dogs, and it looked gorgeous, and then it got toned down in final release. So graphically, yeah, it was very pretty. Don't get me wrong. It was gorgeous. But that teaser trailer was a video documentary that EA did a lot of in their press conference. And it fell really flat for me personally. And it's kind of a sore spot because of all the Star Wars games that we've seen in recent years get canceled or canned. 1313 looked freaking amazing, and I was so excited, and then it got canceled, and it's like, okay. And so, I think that even though E3 trailers are supposed to be this vertical slice, I would rather have had this vertical slice of gameplay or something from Star Wars Battlefront, even if it never made it. Like, show me it's playable at that high fidelity, because there were some screens that they did of the ATs and ATSTs walking, and they were untextured and they were wireframe, and it's like, well, yeah.
Like, oh, you use wireframes? Wow, you're so unique and specific.
That's cool. So it just fell flat.
What a great thing to bring to E3.
Yeah, it fell flat for me, and that's where you're supposed to generate hype, and I'm still excited for the game, but it was a real disappointment for me.
I got hyped. My inner Star Wars person was like, oh, I get to be on a speeder bike and I'm going through Endor. Hopefully I get to kill Ewoks because, they...
If it ever comes to release.
What did they ever do to you?
I suppose nothing personally.
Besides hit their targets.
Oh,
sorry, Stormtroopers.
Oh, yeah, here's a space age armor. Better not throw a rock at it. All right, we could go on that for days.
Doomed.
We could go on that for days. But, I mean, there are other games that...
Okay, no, let's move on. Let's move on with the hype train, though. Diwari, I think you had a character you were a little excited to see come out of Super Smash Bros.
Pac-Man. Yeah, I was very excited to see Pac-Man in the game. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be good or not. From what we can tell so far as the characters are concerned, there's a lot of changes to Smash Brothers. Greninja is a new character. He's a Pokemon. He's one of the starter Pokemons for X and Y, and he's going to be really, really good. He's a new character. But another big thing that they did is they got rid of transformational characters. There's no more Zelda transforming into Sheik. Sheik and Zelda are separate characters now. There's no Zero Suit Samus and Samus. Oh, well, there's two separate characters now. There's no combination. Zero Suit Samus, from what we have heard, is really good in the game. But we're still learning everything. We feel that we don't have a full character roster. There are other characters we can see, different mechanics. The maps looks fun. The different maps look fun. But, we still got more to learn. We still got more to see.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they do really well with that series is they tell you a base roster, and then they go, oh, this week we're going to tell you about this character, and then this week we're going to tell you about this character. So it definitely maintains a sense of excitement about the game, and it's not just like, oh, falls flat. Yeah. It's also going to be released on 3DS, and so that was big news for them as well. So definitely more to see there, and Nintendo has been doing really well in their console sales, so that could be a direct link to their showing at E3 and this game specifically. So definitely excited for that. So we're going to move on to some of the surprises that we kind of caught us off guard or we really weren't expecting or things like that. And so Eraddicus, tell me a little bit about that Star Fox.
So what very, very little we know is that this is going to be a 2015 release. It sounds like you're going to be given a little bit new experience here. So you get the Landmaster on call whenever you want it. You don't have to wait for the mission when Slippy inevitably fucks something up and you have to go chase him. You get to use it immediately. So that immediately makes me think that level design is not going to be able to stick to just an aerial form. You're going to have to be on a planet somewhere where a Landmaster is going to be functional and useful for you to pop out of the R-Wing into Landmaster and vice versa, going back and forth. So looking forward to seeing that. It sounds like there's going to be a helicopter introduced, which brings another interesting thought into kind of how you see Star Fox move. It was my first game I ever owned, so it's one that I'm excited to see them throw something new into like this. But what we've known of Star Fox generally is when you're in the ship, you have one-way movement, one-way directional movement. If you miss something, you're done. Maybe maybe you barrel roll.
Oh, barrel roll.
You don't barrel roll, but maybe you somersault.
Try a somersault.
So the introduction of a helicopter makes me think that you're not going to be forced on a one-way direction or one-way path without control of your speed or stopping, going backwards, that kind of thing. So I'm interested for that. Big surprise. Another big surprise, Tomb Raider. Diwari. You played Tomb Raider. What do you think?
Actually, I played Tomb Raider on the recommendation of this guy right here, and I picked up the definitive edition as the first game I picked up on the PlayStation 4. It was awesome. It's an awesome game. I mean, it's a lot of people say it's Uncharted with Lara Croft. That's not an argument against it. Uncharted is a good game. Uncharted 4 was also announced, but we'll get to that in a second. Tomb Raider, the second one, it's almost like I wasn't certain it was coming because when the first Tomb Raider launched, its sales were not too great, but we knew that the quality of the game was spectacular. And now we get this new theatrical trailer, which they're continuing on with this reboot of Lara Croft, which I like a lot. But, we finally got to see that they're confirming that they're going to keep going with it, which, as a gamer, I mean, that's good confirmation. It means that Square is committed to this idea. So I'm excited for it. I can tell you that right now. We do get a reborn Lara Croft, but while we're on the subject of bringing up old franchises and making them new again, Rainbow Six: The Siege got announced by Ubisoft. Yeah. Now, I'm going to let Omega take this one here because we're all three excited for it. I know I played a ton of Rogue Spear. It was one of the only games I had when I was at a boarding school. So I can tell you I'm excited for it, but we're going to let Omega elaborate on that.
Yeah, so Rainbow Six Siege was their kind of Ubisoft's very iconic, and here's a little peek at something new at the end of their press conference. So you always know it's coming, but you never know what it is. And this came out and dropped, and I really enjoyed it. I like it for a number of reasons. It takes all of these mechanics that we see in first-person shooters of this generation and kind of throws them out the window. The really fast gameplay throws it out the window. The lone wolf style, go do your own thing, throws it out the window. It's
Here are your first-person shooter conventions, and here's what we're doing to them.
Remember when we've had this awesome gameplay franchise, and then we did away with it, and now it's coming back. Oh, I was excited.
Yeah, definitely exciting, and it I can't think of the word. It promotes cooperative, tactical gameplay. You have to play with your friends. You have to play with people cooperatively to be successful. A lot of people have put hands on it, and they're having really great reviews are coming out of it. Really fun. There's some controversy around it, but
what game doesn't have controversies nowadays? Everybody's a drama queen.
That's all that. So then another one that was really interesting that we actually knew a lot about, and for some reason personally I didn't even think of it at E3 because I wasn't too excited for the game. And that was Lord of the Rings: Shadow of Mordor. Watching gameplay of this game got me excited. The mechanics, reading about the mechanics doesn't really do it justice. Watching how it works and kind of the intricacies and the nuances of the actual game in the gameplay, holy crap. That is going to be really fun, just being able to manipulate things on this field of all these orcs and be like, oh, I dominated you, now you go do what I want you to, and kind of all these power plays. It's like Lord of the Rings meets House of Cards, put it all together. It's wonderful. So definitely excited for that. But there's another one that came out from a little studio, you probably haven't heard of it, called Platinum Games at the Microsoft. Eraddicus, tell us about Scalebound.
So, I don't personally know a ton about the game other than this gorgeous trailer that they put out that, which means probably no one else does too, because I am all that is knowledge. Look into my eyes and know it. No, but what we've seen is we've got kind of a, I don't know, like maybe a bit of a punk guy. He's got his headphones on, running through the forest away from some giant creature. Shows up in front of almost like a scene out of King Kong, where you've got I forget the girl's name, but she shows up in between King Kong and the T-Rex, and just kind of looks both ways. But this shows a dragon kind of coming to his aid, and it looks like between he and this dragon, they take down this giant creature, and in the process, he takes on its powers. So the prospect of that, it sounds amazing. It looks like fun, because if you can take something's powers, something that big, and adapt it into your own small kind of scalable character, makes me wonder what else is out there for you to steal, and especially how this dragon's going to play into it.
Yeah, definitely with the title being part of it, it almost seems like this sense of you have these special abilities and you're bound to this other creature, monster, dragon sort of thing. And,
something with scales.
And so it's this kind of almost cooperative like experience, possibly, that could be a part of that, where one of you's playing one.
Can you imagine playing the dragon in that experience?
Oh my gosh. And then Platinum Games doing that?
Yeah, when have they ever done anything bad?
Seriously, super awesome.
Speaking of Platinum Games, we actually got to see, for the Wii U, the more details about Bayonetta 2. Now, Bayonetta 1 is one of my favorite games of the last generation. Like, it's easily top 3.
Yes.
It's another Platinum Games title, as we mentioned. They do spectacular games. They're the creative minds. If you don't know already, they're the creative minds behind the Devil May Cry series. But with Bayonetta 2, we know it's a Wii U exclusive, and we know that they've changed a lot of the mechanics to the gameplay, which Eraddicus is the one to ask about that.
Indeed. So what it looks like we have now is the introduction of a couple new weapons. For instance, they pulled in a bow, which is, the closest thing you had to your ranged form last time was either Umbra Witch powers or the guns, and this time, and that felt really Devil May Cry like. So now we get what looks like this giant, beautiful, decked out looking bow that becomes
the tech bow from Turok.
How many Turok references can we make?
Well, he's still not a Smash brother, so.
Yeah, next gen Turok confirmed. Yes, I think so. But
sunflower seeds of goodness.
So we got this cool bow. We've got what looks like some updated mechanics. A little more fluid gameplay, but for the most part, it looks like the same game, which in no sense is a bad thing. Bayonetta 1 was perfect, so much fun, and a lot longer, personally, than I expected it to be. But something else we've seen as a combat change is the meter that you used to build up toward torturing as kind of an execution technique on enemies, is we now build that up to kind of a real-time, I believe they called it Umbran Climax.
How Bayonetta?
Yeah, as if that game could get any more, we'll just say any more Bayonetta. But it's something that's going to happen kind of mid-fight. With you'll summon all these demons, and it's not going to take you out of the experience where you're mashing buttons to make sure this overly sexualized torture goes off just correctly.
Overly sexualized?
I love
Bayonetta? No way.
But they're not. No, you're probably right. I must be thinking of a different game. But it's looking great, and it was a nice surprise to see. But
and they're releasing it.
They're
releasing it also as a package with the first one. So if you didn't play the first one,
yes,
buy it, and you get both games 2 in 1.
You will not regret it. If you have not played the first Bayonetta, you just stop what you're doing, go play it. It is fantastic. When Erad described it as perfect earlier, it's just that.
He wasn't kidding. True story.
True story.
It's good. But let's speed through a little bit here. We got a wrap up, and part of that wrap up is going to be our press conferences. Omega, I think, is the only one of us that saw all of them live as they were happening. The rest of us had to catch up later. So take us through the success and failures of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo.
Yeah, so Microsoft, they made a promise at the beginning and previously that it was going to be all about the games. They delivered. So definitely thumbs up for them. Sony came out, they did their press conference, showed a lot of really cool games, a lot of interesting games, indie games all together. They didn't stick to the all games thing, but they never promised that, so that's all good. They definitely took their pot shots at pretty much everybody else. EA, Ubi, Microsoft, Nintendo. But hey, when you sell almost 8 million copies or 8 million consoles, I guess you get a little bit of
There's a
respect.
little bit of room.
EA kind of fell flat for me. They did a lot of video documentaries and just really was kind of a waste. Ubisoft I thought was really good. Showed a lot of really great games, a lot of good gameplay. Aisha Tyler is just really funny and good. So
Interesting and cool.
That was good. She actually plays video games, so that was good. Nintendo's was
novel idea.
Nintendo's was a little bit different. They did a online thing that was basically like a YouTube video, a long YouTube video. It was all pre-produced. It was not sitting in an arena and watching this thing, which I thought was really smart on their part. They've said the reason that they did that was because a lot of the people that they would want to show the games have a language barrier to the English language, and a lot of them speak Japanese. And so if you do those pre-recorded things and you can subtitle everything, it just works better for them. I thought, A+ for them. They showed a lot of really cool games. It was quick and to the point, and I don't think there was a single game in their media conference that I wasn't like, I might actually play that game. Like, they were all good, all exciting. So definitely really good about that. So we're going to wrap it up here with just some really quick questions. We're just going to ask them, and we're going to go rapid fire answers. So, most excited for from E3, Eraddicus.
Most excited for Evil Within.
Diwari.
Obviously Destiny. But after Destiny, Far Cry 4. And after Far Cry 4, Abzu.
Oh,
this is a one-answer game.
One answer.
Okay.
I like Diwari, Destiny, but I think that edges it out just a little bit is The Division. I'm just really, really excited for that one. Hopeful. Biggest surprise from E3, Eraddicus.
Biggest surprise for me was actually that Zelda Wii U came through on the promise to be non-linear and open world.
Boom, done.
Yep. I'm going to say Zelda as well. You're looking at a console that isn't as high-end graphically, but you still, you knocked it out of the park. It was one of the most beautiful games at E3.
Yes, was very gorgeous. My biggest surprise, for me personally, was probably Shadows of Mordor. Not so much that the game was surprising, but just the fact that I was so attached to it. Like before it, I would have never probably bought the game. After it, I'm like, that looks good.
Yeah.
So definitely good there.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be all right. Best trailer and why? Really quick, Eraddicus.
Best trailer for me, The Division. It hits home. It's not like we're living in the world that The Division is gonna make true, but it hits a sense of that's what I got. I don't know how to describe it. It's good.
Far Cry 4, the villain reveal trailer and the gameplay trailer. I watched them 5 or 6 times over.
Yeah, that villain, man.
That villain.
Quick, meme that villain. For me, my best trailer was the theatrical Division trailer. I thought that was just great. Just kind of all the subtext that was going on in that, where all this stuff was happening, and because it's this chaotic moment in society that nothing is seen until your character comes in the scene, and then he sees, and everything comes visually, and you can see the person that's been, beat up for everything he has. And then that kind of note at the very end of like, yes, this is a shitty world, but there's hope in that. And I think that's just a really powerful message, and that's what's got me hooked. And so, lastly, to wrap it up, from E3, most beautifulest game, Eraddicus.
Zelda Wii U.
Diwari.
I'm out.
I want to see Abzu in action.
That was pretty.
Journey was spectacular. This is the successor. Yeah.
Graphically, the thing that I felt was most beautiful was Zelda Wii U with a very close runner-up, Sunset Overdrive, because that was gorgeous. But I think we've got to give it to Wii U. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment what you liked the most. If you want to answer any of our questions, ask any questions, be sure to check out all the Destiny stuff where we go real deep, and we will see you next time. Peace.
And when I leave, come together like butt cheeks. Oh, what's up?